My intention today is to share with you some mindset shifts that will help you feel happier, more connected, and more on purpose. These are things that I learned the first 4 months of starting my own business, and I believe that no matter what situation you're in, whether it's your own business or something with your family or any other type of experience, these all prime us to be able to grow and become better, and this just happened to be the vehicle for my learning. So if you have a business, great, and if you don't, this is still going to be very helpful for you. The process of living with intention and more mindfulness takes a lot of time, work, and awareness of the subtle things that are happening in your life. And I've been doing this for so many years, and even now I'm just getting these big breakthroughs that I wasn't expecting, and I'm still going to be growing and learning. So don't get hard on yourself if this is something that you are still trying to wrap your head around. But there are definite mindset shifts that can help you on your way to mindfulness and being more deliberate than reactive to the world around you. Running my own business has challenged me beyond anything that I've been used to in the past. Some people think that working for yourself means staying in bed in your pajamas all day, getting snacks whenever you want, doing the laundry and the dishes here and there, and then you magically get all of this money and it's like this wonderful lifestyle. Well, let me tell you, running your own business is nothing like that, especially if you want it to be successful. When you start your own business especially, you have to be the CEO, the project manager, the virtual assistant, the creative. You have to wear all of these hats, and it was through this process of figuring out, okay, how do I actually function day to day? How do I actually succeed? And then where does my greater purpose fit in all of this? Because let's be real, no matter if you're looking at work or creative or family or anything, if you don't have a bigger picture in mind and you're not acting from a sense of being, then it's really hard to make momentum and full impact in everything that you're doing. And I know that you want to have impact because that's why you're here. That's why you have dreams and you're trying to go after your goals. And it is possible, it is doable. It just takes a little bit of learning and focus and awareness. And that's what I'm hoping to help you with, is to think of things differently. And when you think about the things I'm about to share with you and try to implement them into your own life, then you'll notice these changes that are going to happen, and it's going to be great. All right, let's get to it. Instead of thinking, this sucks, I hate that this is happening to me, why is this happening to me? Oh, I hope that this happens to me. Try thinking of experiences as an opportunity to do better and to be better. There are two ways that you can look at circumstances: as something that happens to you, so it's a victim reactive state of being where you have no control, you just allow things to happen to you, or you can look at them as opportunities and a way to communicate where you are on the path to your greater purpose. I know that that is like, whoa, I just went way out there, but hear me out. The situations we experience give us a chance to become closer to who we are and to know what our highest calling in life is. How? How is that even possible? The best way to know if you are on the right path and going towards your greater purpose is your emotions. So if you feel joy and happiness and knowledge and connection and just this expansive feeling, then you're on the right path and you're focusing on the right things and you're aligning your personality with your purpose. But if you feel anxiousness or worried or stressed or just a little off when you maybe said yes to a client or you said yes to a collaboration with someone and it just feels not right, then that means you're not on the right path. I watched this interview of OPRAH being interviewed at Stanford Business School, and she went in great lengths about her history and how she knew the path that she was meant to take and ultimately become who she is now. And it was really powerful because she talked about how there were different jobs she had, whether it was being a reporter or different things that she felt it wasn't a fit for her. She knew it deep inside, and even though she would work at those jobs, she was like, this is not for my greater purpose. I'll eventually get there, but this is just a learning experience. So already from an early age, she knew how to use her emotions as a guidance system. And so when things didn't feel right, she said, okay, that means it's not part of my greater purpose. I'll just ride this out until I know what the next move is. And then when she felt the alignment of her personality with the event or circumstance, she knew that she was on the right path. So what does this mean for us? So it means that if you feel anxious or worried or stressed about something, something is out of alignment. Whatever situation or experience that is happening is not in alignment with your greater purpose. And that's okay, because now you know. It's basically communicating to you and giving you information about your next steps. If there are certain situations where you feel happy and expansive and joyful and it feels connected and right, then that means you're on the right path. So rather than looking at situations that just passively happen to us and we're reacting and, oh, poor me, think of it as a tool and a way for you to navigate your own life and your own purpose. So it actually gives you power in every situation. Even if it's something that doesn't feel good or you wish didn't happen, you can now use it as a navigation system. And to zoom this out into a bigger level, in the grand scheme of things, if your personality is in alignment with your purpose, nothing can stop you. Nothing. So anytime you feel those negative emotions with the situation, it means that something is not aligned with your personality and your purpose. And so what do? You go to work, you either read a book or you meditate, or you figure out what tools you need to get better at, or you just take the lesson that you need to learn from it. But the whole thing I'm trying to get at is that you are a creator, you are a leader, you are someone who is meant to create and do wonderful things, and everything in your life is meant to help you in that journey. So don't act like a victim and don't think that things are out of your control, because you have so much control. Which brings me to my next point. This was one of the biggest lessons that I learned last year, and it took a lot of hard work to get there, but it was worth it. Instead of holding on to results like how much money you want to make or what numbers you need to hit for this month, try instead releasing any attachment to outcomes or results, and fall in love with the process of what you're doing. We often attach our identities to things outside of ourselves, like work, where we live, who we know, but we inherently aren't our job, our circumstances, or who we know. Those metrics don't actually bring us lasting joy, but for some reason, we think that they do. And I believe, for myself at least, it was because I was lacking in the understanding of how my thoughts shape my future and in the understanding of who I actually was as a divine being. Because as soon as I understood that, I finally realized, okay, these things like my job and who I know and the money that I want to make, they don't fulfill me and it's not lasting joy. Granted, they're great goals to have, and there's still something I will strive for as far as how much I want to make, because then I can magnify who I am and then I can help other people better in the world. Lasting joy comes from focusing on being, and then from that place of being, doing. There really is no purpose or any sense to what you do in life if you don't have that strong sense of purpose. And that's something I've realized, that when I understood my bigger why, I know that I'm here to help raise consciousness, to help people understand the power of their thoughts, to understand the power of being, and to know what that divine self is. And as soon as that clicked, I'm like, oh my gosh. Now when I write something or when I make a video or when I make an email, I have that purpose in my mind. And so it's changing the way that I see how I do everything, and it's flowing much more effortlessly. And I feel more connected to you and to this purpose. And so hopefully you can feel that energy. And that's what I want for you as well, is to just release attachment to any outcomes. Because when you hold on to numbers like I was holding on to for so long, you actually limit the potential of how much you can achieve. Already, when I've let go of numbers and I focus on the purpose and just the feeling, like I'm focusing on feeling happy and joyful and connected, and through that, my dreams have expanded tenfold. What I can accomplish has no limit now. We as human beings, we're limited, unfortunately, and we have different things like the ego and fear and scarcity and all these different things coming at us every day. And so when you look at the world through those lenses, you actually limit what you can do. And think of it this way too. If you want to make $100,000 this year, you're limiting yourself, because what if you could make $300,000? What if you could make $500,000? This is actually something that Rachel Hollis said at her Rise Business Conference last year, is that first of all, a lot of us don't dream big enough. And second of all, you usually undercut how much you can actually do in a year. And I know you've heard that in some form or the other from other people as well, but it's really true. So if you're sitting here like, I want to make 100K, I want to make 500K, remove that metric, remove remove that limit and just focus on loving the process of what you're doing and the feeling, having a feel-good feeling inside, because that is going to expand you beyond anything you could ever imagine. And I know it might be impossible to understand this now, but this is something that has helped me tremendously. We are wired for desire. Human beings always have a desire. So really, by limiting yourself to certain numbers or outcomes, you are limiting the potential of your desire. I did set a metric for how much I want to make this year. I did set different goals, but my day-to-day, I'm focusing on feeling good. Do I feel good? Do I feel connected? Do I feel strong? Do I feel intentional? So when I'm making emails, when I'm helping copywriting clients, as I'm sitting there, am I enjoying this process, or am I too busy thinking, oh my gosh, I have to get all this stuff done? Am I thinking too far ahead and stressing myself out? And so make sure that you fall in love with your process, because everything we're doing is also a long game. And to add to that, most successful people have said that when they learned to enjoy the process, that's when all the money came in. Again, the interview with OPRAH at Stanford, she said that she never even thought of making a ton of money. And she just had a regular 9-to-5 job to begin with, right? I mean, granted, being an anchor is not a regular 9-to-5 job, but she worked for someone else. But she found that deep purpose working for someone else. And then when she finally went out on her own, she realized the power of her purpose. And then the money followed after. Fall in love with the process, release any type of attachment to results or outcomes, and just let the universe work. Because when you have a desire and you have a goal and a purpose, it is already a yes. It's already a yes. The universe, God, for me, for you, whatever it is that you want to call it, has said yes. We just have to enjoy the time between asking and receiving and getting ready to receive. That's another thing, is that you cannot receive a desire if you are not ready, willing, and able to receive it. That's another thing that I was working on excavating for myself, is what are these beliefs that are stopping me? And why am I not allowing myself to receive these things? So that's another good thing to think about. And I know this seems silly, because if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, you may think, how is this gonna help me? But seriously, the psychology of the business owner matters more than anything else in a business. And that is actually what is going to get you to where you are. If you look at any billionaire, any person that's really successful, a lot of them have this right. Sarah Blakely, Oprah Winfrey, Brendon Burchard, a bunch of other people. They all abide by the same principles. Pay attention now when you see different interviews for people that you admire. All right, so another thing that I learned last year, and a mindset shift that I had to make, is instead of giving so much weight to an opinion, try telling yourself, opinion is not fact. It is not a fact. In my copywriting business, anytime I have a discovery call, my mentality is no. I'm not gonna work with this person unless certain standards are met. It's a filtering process, because you can't literally just say yes to every single person. You wanna make sure that you actually can serve them, that their budget fits your services, that you actually can be excited about what they're doing and support them. I love to give my clients that purpose-filled support. So there's a different filtering process that I go through with people to make sure that it's a good fit. And so with that mindset of clients, I feel it should be the same way with opinions. Imagine being the gatekeeper to the castle, or the assistant to Oprah, or the guard dog in the house. I love corgis, by the way. Basically what I'm getting at is there should be boundaries in place. Your energy in life's purpose is so much bigger than any person, opinion, or circumstance. And you should not just allow anything into your energy, because if you're wasting time allowing opinions to come into your space, then you're gonna be in trouble. And you might already be in trouble now, because I know caring about people's opinions is something that I have struggled with longer than I care to admit. And I've worked on that a lot this year, and I can happily say that life is much better when you create those boundaries, okay? So how do you make those boundaries, and what does that look like? So anytime someone gives you an opinion, and when I say opinion, I mean, and it wasn't even something that you were asking for, because there's a difference when you ask a friend, hey, can you give me your advice on this? And then their opinion is actually asked for, it's coming from a good place, it's someone you trust, right? So when someone gives you an unhelpful or mean opinion, these are the questions that you need to ask. What is their intention in saying this to me? Who is saying this, and what do they mean to me? Is what they're saying have any value or truth to it? And then what is their background or qualifications for making this kind of statement? There is a huge difference between someone giving you an opinion that you trust and who really has your back and wants you to succeed, versus someone who masks helpful advice but it's really to feed their own ego, and it's an opinion, but they make you think that it's a fact or a helpful statement. There were a lot of people throughout my lifetime who felt that they could just give me opinions about what they thought about me or what I was doing, and they always tried to define me and box me in. And granted, I also didn't have the strength to understand what they were doing, and so I almost allowed them in a way who would just give me opinions about me as a person and who I was, and it would hurt me. I would get so upset. I would let it get me down for days on end. I would get thrown off track with whatever I was creating, and it really got me into this loop of negative feedback for myself. So recently, a colleague of mine in an industry that I work in now was giving me some feedback. And at first I'm like, great, I love feedback, this is awesome. But then as the conversation went on, it turned into personal opinion about who I was as a person and not actually about the work or the object that I was expecting to have the feedback on. Immediately in my mind, I thought, oh my gosh, this is a repeat of every situation in the past. As the person kept talking, I started laughing. And I started laughing because I'm like, I know what this is. This is an unhelpful, unproductive opinion, and it doesn't matter. I don't care, and I am not going to let it define who I am, because this is something that has failed the test of those questions that I asked. I just knew in my head why they were saying it, and what they were saying had a little bit of value in it, but like hardly any. And so when I went through those filters, I was like, oh shoot, nope, don't need you, next. And it just felt amazing because I had my boundaries in place, and I didn't allow this opinion to ruin my day, to define who I was, or to change the work that I had been doing internally and externally. So the next time that you come into this situation, go through those questions and filter through that opinion and ask yourself, it's really helpful. Where is their intention? Where are they coming from? Who are they? And just know that a lot of times people act from their insecurities, their fears, and that's the lens with which they speak into the world. And so you will be able to know by the feelings that you get, and just by knowing their intention and questioning their intention, if what they're saying is something that you need to listen to, or you just let it breeze on by like a cloud. That's what I like to say. The minute that you can understand this and really grasp that opinions are not fact, you're gonna free up so much energy, and you're gonna free up so much love and letting go of so many negative emotions. Make sure you focus on that. And even when someone does say something from a place of love and wants to help you, you still don't have to take it. You still don't. Obviously, you wanna be open, you wanna be receptive and open to changing and getting better, but you'll know. And then a bonus tip with opinions is that if there's a situation where something's bothering you and you're holding on to it longer than you want to, ask yourself, do I need to let this bother me? Do I need to care what this person thinks? 99% of the time, your inner being is gonna say, no, you do not. So girl, you ask yourself that question and you just move on with your day. Now I'm gonna make a point that kind of ties in with something that I mentioned before. So we talked about releasing attachment from outcomes and results. You're unattached to them, right? And I also mentioned that when you have a desire, it is already a yes. It's on its way to you, and the only thing stopping us is either one, things have to move into place. If there's other people involved, it all has to line up. And then also we sabotage ourselves from receiving. So it's either a negative belief or other things that are stopping us. So instead of feeling pressured and anxious until you make that 100,000 or you lose those extra pounds, try this instead. Enjoy the time between asking and receiving. Okay, I know that this is hard. I know, because I am a recovering forcer, a recovering pusher. I always felt like if I could just take control of the situation, I could make it happen. And most of the time in my life, it did not work out for me. I did accomplish a lot in the music industry, and I did get a lot of cool things done. But at the end of the day, it wasn't aligned with my purpose and who I was. I learned a lot, and I still have a passion for music, but it didn't end as well as I was hoping, and that's okay. But since those moments, and even just moments recently in my life, I've learned that it's already a yes. What I'm asking for is there. I feel it. It's in my universe. It's coming to me. Why not enjoy the time between asking and receiving? And that's something that Abraham Hicks talks about Wayne Dyer, Joe Dispenza. Joy and staying in vibrational harmony with your desire the whole way through is what attracts it to you in the first place. Granted, if you're asking for Chick-fil-A for dinner, that's gonna be a quicker turnaround than $1 billion business, right? So you gotta give yourself and the universe the space to manifest things. So think of it this way, that after sending a desire, we must joyfully do what will allow us to receive it. So during this period of asking and receiving and you haven't received yet, work on being the person that is capable of receiving that desire. Say you want to write a book. If you don't identify yourself as an author, how could you possibly write that book? If you don't have the discipline to write for 30 minutes every day, how could you possibly create that book? Taking a look at yourself and knowing the desires that you've put out there and what do I need to do, who do I need to be in order to receive that manifestation when it's ready for me. Okay, so this next one was something important that I learned through going to the Rise Business Conference, watching different talks, and just seeing this pattern with a bunch of entrepreneurs. So instead of focusing on scaling and getting to the next metric, getting to the next step, and what you need to be doing years from now, focus on consistency, because consistency is king. Tom Bilyeu said it best when he said that consistency builds momentum, and without consistency, you will not get momentum. He says momentum is getting not only yourself moving in a direction, but getting so many people behind you moving in a direction. Then you've really got something going. So what I gather from this is take what you're doing more seriously. If you don't consistently show up, if you don't have a system and a process for how you're showing up and what you want to share with the people you serve, the message is going to get lost. If you really want to build authority and find your tribe, you can't half-ass serve people. I'm going to say it again. If you really want to build authority and find your tribe, you cannot half-ass serve people. You have to be obsessed with serving your audience so that creating consistently is just a byproduct. It's a natural reaction and action that you take, because your greater purpose is so much bigger. I am focusing solely on consistency, and that is it. I don't care about anything else. I am gonna be consistent and see what happens. If after a year from now I'm consistent and nothing happens or I end up not liking it, fine. I can always change to something different. But you will never know the power and impact that your message and your business can have until you give it the chance that it deserves, until you give your message the chance that it deserves. And some people find out quickly that this is not meant for me. And I don't want to be an entrepreneur, and I don't want to be a leader at this scale. Maybe it's at a smaller scale, maybe it's in a different way, but you'll never know until you actually go all in. Okay, so this next one, oh man, it was a killer for me. I did not realize how much time I was spending worrying and thinking too much. It took me so many years to finally understand this because of how much I worry and think over everything. So instead of doing that, try focusing on your emotions moment to moment and acting from your sense of purpose. So I finally had this click when I was on vacation at the end of the year. I had a few weeks off where I had no timeline, no pressure to create. I deleted my Instagram app for 2 weeks. I just was off the grid, and I took away any consumption that I typically had during the work year. And whatever you feel attracted to naturally, pay attention to that and just do it. So I did a lot of reading. I watched some Project Runway because I love fashion, like things that I typically wouldn't let myself do during the year. And during those moments where I paused or I felt bored, I didn't have Instagram to go onto, and I noticed I filled so much of my time getting on apps or like doing things that really wasted my energy and time. And I noticed too, why am I so peaceful right now? Oh, it's because I'm not worrying about something, or I'm not thinking or overanalyzing something right now. And so I really started to connect to my inner being, and I felt this like warm, expansive energy. And every moment I would just say, what do I feel like doing right now? And then I would have this joy and happiness about reading. Okay, great, I'll go read. And then I would feel this joy and happiness about editing videos for YouTube. Great, I'll go do that. It was just this beautiful moment to moment, feeling my emotion, feeling my inner being, and knowing what it was that I truly wanted and not having the distraction or the worry or the thinking. When we get older, I feel like we give so much attention and thought to things because we want to have control, or we want to make sure we're being effective, or that we're being strategic and all these different things. but we miss out on the playfulness and the joy and the truth of what our purpose is trying to tell us. As children, we loved playing. We went outside during recess and threw a ball with some friends or played tag. It was magical to us. We had no doubt. We had no fear. We didn't tiptoe around our desire. Our desire was our reality. And I want to get back to that. My desire, your desire, is your reality. And any emotion that does not feel good means that you are not focused on the reality of your desire, that it is not something that is at the forefront of your being. And so that is an indication to you that it needs to change. Most of us want to be more productive, and there's nothing wrong with that, but worrying and thinking is such a time waster. If we could remove the qualifiers that we place on action, like, okay, I can only act if I have a plan, if it makes sense, if it fits within this, if it fits within that, just remove all of that and listen to your desire, take action based on your purpose, know what your greater purpose is, and start acting from that. Okay, this last one gets me so excited. It's something I'm still working on. Instead of editing what you want to say in case it offends or upsets someone, try saying what you want and what you mean. I want to be better about being direct in a kind way, of course. There's definitely a kind way to be direct and be a leader and to say what you mean. I am really grateful because my husband is someone who values directness. There are times where I know in my heart what it is that I want to say or what I mean, but when I'm telling him, I'll backtrack or give an excuse or be like, oh wait, but that won't work. He's like, babe, just say what you mean. And he's done that enough times now where I'm like, oh my gosh, I stop myself from just saying what I mean because I'm afraid it'll come out wrong or it'll offend someone or I'm being too bossy, and it's just so much thought and like energy into the meaning of what I'm saying. But I realize that I am a divine spirit. I have personality preferences, I have desires, I have goals, I have dreams, I have things about me, and I have an intention and purpose, and that's what I'm going to be acting from. So I need to trust myself more, and I need to not feel like I'm taking too much space up. And I think that's what it was. And especially as women, we feel like I'm taking too much space. Whether you're conscious of it or not, we are trained socially to be aware of that. So whether you're on the bus and you fold your legs really close so that you're not going to run into anyone, when you're sitting somewhere and there's other people around you and you kind of like crunch your shoulders, and if you notice, most men, their legs will be wide. They'll sit up with their shoulders and they don't care about taking up space because they weren't subconsciously told that they couldn't. And I know that it's changing now and that things are getting better. And I think that's where it came from, is I didn't want to impose or offend. Say what you mean, be direct, don't worry about offending. Thankfully, living in New York as well has helped me with that. People are not afraid of being direct, they're not afraid of saying what they mean, but they're also the first people to help me if I drop something. Don't worry about taking up space. That is what someone who has purpose and intention in a place that they're going and they know that they're gonna impact the world, that's what you do. And that's something I'm gonna keep working on. I am connected to a greater source, a greater power. My purpose is bigger than any opinion, than any thought, than anything that anyone could tell me. And I love people that I interact with. Okay, so those are the big mindset shifts that I learned last year, and I hope that they get you to think about ways that you can step up and become more impactful and powerful in your own life. And if you like this video, let me know in the comments below. If you have any questions, let me know as well, but make sure to give this video a like so that other people can be inspired as well. I hope to see you next time.